Recently, I like to say and think that the game has changed. And what do I mean by the game has changed? I mean that for many years, it was like I was trying to convince people that these ideas held water, that they were true. And they would kind of look at me skeptically. And especially my good friends, that a lot of them like I wanted to help them, and I knew that I was onto something important, and some of them had health issues and things, but like very few of them took it seriously. Because I live in Thailand with my family, and there's a lot of friends because I've lived in various parts of the world. There's a lot of friends that I don't really see, but maybe I like will exchange kind of holiday greetings to each other during Christmas or New Year's. So New Year's just passed, and so that kind of round of pleasantries just passed, right? And so there's a whole bunch of people that I talked to at that time that I only really talked to about once a year. Maybe I knew them during college or my 20s or 30s. We just kind of like ask each other how things are going and things like this. A lot of them know my story about this dental stuff. And some of them even kind of like joke about it, like, Ken, how's your dental theory going? And so this year, I was just, when if they asked or if that came up, and it came up a number of times, I would just say like, yep, I figured it out, and now I started a business around it, and I'm on to greener pastures, right? And I wasn't even really interested in discussing it, and part of that was like, I know that's kind of like a different in the pattern from the way I was in the past. Because in the past, I'd be very excited about it. I want to explain everything to them, and they kind of like half listen to me, thinking that it was mainly bullshit. Why have things changed? Well, because for me, Reviv has changed the game. Over 400 appliances have been sold at this point. 200 something people purchased access to the community. A lot of people keeping journals. I'm tracking how a lot of people progress, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from various folks. And I counted, I think there's something around 50 people have already clearly kind of like stated to me in one way or another that they're like improving on various things health wise. Some of them were brain fog, chronic pain, sleep issues, neurological issues, even mood improvements. When you get all this feedback from strangers, it kind of like validates that, okay, this is working on a ton of people I don't even know. The kind of validation that I might have sought from friends and family, I don't need it, right? Like I see that this stuff is working on a much wider group. It's not like I'm trying to prove anything anymore. Like I know this stuff works at this point. I have enough feedback from enough different people on enough different things that I just see that, yeah, like the game has changed because now it's clearly this stuff works. So with friends, when they ask me about it, now it's more like I flipped the switch. Like I'm not trying to convince them of anything. If anything, like they need to convince me to explain it to them, because I'm not going to waste my time anymore. I with a lot of them, like I would invest time in the past and they kind of like blow me off. And now I just like, I call this the years of compounding. Like I'm just going to keep improving. I'll keep my ideas more or less to myself. I'll run my business. And if my friends are interested, they can ask me. But I'm not going to like go out of my way to help them unless there's someone I really care about. The reality is a lot of them are probably going, like they're probably at that point in their life, because I'm 47. A lot of my friends are around my age. A lot of them are like declining and getting worse. And this stuff would prevent that from happening. But I just look at it as, okay, like that's on you, like if you want my help, you're going to have to ask me and I'll help you, right? But like, don't expect me to go out of my way to try and help you on something that, I was talking about for many years. How does my decade, in my view, look? Like it just started 2025. And if I were to guess, what the next 10 years looks like. So when I'm looking back, reflecting in this year 2035, I think I will have continued to improve how I look, function, everything for the entire decade. And so I look, even though most folks, when they're going from 47 years old to 57 years old, like usually things are kind of going downhill, or at least certain elements of their life and their health. And I actually think that if I'm right, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up being right, that is going to be the exact opposite for me. Like things are going to improve a lot. And these next 10 years are going to be a lot easier and better for me than the last 10 years, which were, during certain times a struggle. When those 10 years are up, these friends and acquaintances, I think it's going to be very clear that I was right, because these next 10 years is where I think really it's going to flush out. Like you go from 47 to 57, like a lot of health issues start to get a lot worse. People start to look a lot worse and more aged. And so that if I were to predict, this is really where like paths start to diverge a lot more significantly. When these 10 years are up, I will have clearly been right about this stuff. And part of me is looking forward to that. Like, I'll be honest, like these acquaintances, like some of them kind of tease me. And I want these 10 years to play out exactly like that, right? And to see them in 10 years and like them to see that they were wrong and that I was right. And like, that's just what I've gone through. But there's people that I really care about. And like, I'm going to make a lot of effort to make sure that they try to listen, that they listen to me and they do something about it, because I don't want them to go through pain if they don't have to. But for most, and there's a lot of some friends and folks that I know that like, they've been relatively lucky. They had good structure most of their life. And I think these next 10 years is where like, okay, even if you have good structure, like you're going to start grinding down your teeth. You're going to start to age. And so this is where the body often starts to buckle, and then like by your 60s, even the people that had good structure often start to look a bit aged. With this video, I'm just kind of expressing my internal thoughts and psychology, and to reiterate, like, I'm not this perfect human being. Like, I'm not trying to put myself on some pedestal and I'm just helping everyone out of the goodness of my heart. That's not who I am, right? I think I'm a decent person and a good person, but like, I've been through a fair bit and struggled the last 10 years. And part of me looks at this coming phase as a bit of a victory lap, right? Like, it's where I prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that I was right. And some of these acquaintances of mine who kind of blew me off were wrong, right? And that if you're one of them and you end up watching this video, that you understand me. It's not that I was trying to hurt anyone out there. It's just that I've kind of like given up on going out of my way to help folks and have them ignore me. And now they're going to have to seek my help. Thank you.